Hi, gonna go through a few old bottles of Chanel here. I think 6 of them that I've got that I wanna get off my chest because I have some opinions about Chanel. They often get talked about as the top of the top and they're always in like top 10 lists and things like that. But let's go into it in a bit more depth. Give me a chance to get some more caffeine. Okay, so Chanel. In my opinion, they have a few hits up their sleeve and I really adore that. And I really like them for doing a little bit different things every now and then. But they don't really stray too far from the formula that they've created for themselves. And it seems to have worked for them over the years and it's very successful. They have a loyal band of followers that will pay whatever it takes to get that particular Chanel. And I'm talking about the fragrances only, okay? We're not gonna go into fashion today. Some of the luster has always been lost in perfumery when things have been around for a while, and of course they're sort of prone to being reformulated. So let's have a look at some vintage bottles here that are probably from the 90s all the way up to the mid 2000s is probably like the youngest bottle that's here that I'm going to go through today, and I'm going to rank them as well. And I'm going to start off with a very popular one here for the young ladies. This is a Gabrielle by Chanel. Not that great. That's all I can say. It's an off-putting, almost nauseating kind of fruity and floral scent, and I don't like it very much, and for that particular reason as well. It's not particularly rich, it's not particularly luxurious, it doesn't evoke the imagery of a Chanel or anyone that would be wearing any kind of Chanel clothing either, or would be into the brand. But then again, it's accessible, and I guess they needed something to pep things up a bit. I'm not quite sure why they did this one. I'm not quite sure why Olivier Polge did this one. Was it Olivier Polge or Jacques Polge? I can't remember. It was the younger one who did this one. I don't like it, Mr. Polge. Gabrielle. I'm going to keep this one pretty short. The next one, okay, let's see. The next one on this list, and you see they're all probably empty because they're actually quite old, these bottles. So the next one that I've got here is Coco Mademoiselle. Okay, Coco Mademoiselle is the female equivalent. Now, I don't like using the term male and female when it comes to fragrances because all fragrances is smelly water in a bottle. If you like the smell, you like the smell, then you wear it. That's what it is. If you don't like the smell, then you don't like the smell. That's how simple it is. There's no real science or anything to it, okay? But I'm gonna use this because I don't wanna stray too far from the norms of society. So Coco Mademoiselle is what I consider the female equivalent of Dior's Sauvage. There you go. It's like your Swiss Army knife, all-purpose thingy that you don't want to think about, mass-pleasing. It has a lot of facets in it. And another thing that it has in common with Dior Sauvage is that I don't like it. There's another one that I don't like. And it took like a lot of wearings to come to that conclusion. And the fact that, you know, you smell it so very much. It's ubiquitous, it's omnipresent at some points in certain circles as well. So yeah, Coco Mademoiselle, not a fan. Look, high quality, yeah, it's pretty high quality, especially, you know, this bottle that I had, high quality, but I don't really dig it very much. Again, it doesn't evoke that imagery of the Chanel sort of cachet. You know, it doesn't bring forth that cachet to me. You don't do it. Next we go to the iconic number 5. Now, I've never been a fan of number 5. It's really not been my cup of tea or bottle of fragrance, let's say. This is the Eau de Parfum, and whilst it is rich and luxurious, this thing is really different on different people and different skin chemistry. Some people might be wearing this and it might come off absolutely exquisite on them. Some people might wear it and it smells like toilet water. It's really odd, and it's probably the mark of, you know, maybe something really high quality, I'm not sure, or maybe something really low quality, I'm not sure. There's that about it because there's no consistency in it. The other part of it that I don't like is that whilst it smells good out of the bottle, it certainly doesn't smell that good on my skin anyway when I wear it. That's another reason why I don't like it. And, you know, like I said, it's a personal thing. There's like tons, maybe literally hundreds and thousands of people that have worn this throughout the ages. It's not a new fragrance by any means, but it's really not a blind buy for anyone these days if you've never actually smelled this, especially for a guy. This one, however, unlike the other two, I would recommend as layman's terms that it is unisex, whereas Gabrielle, definitely not. And Coco Mademoiselle, that's also not, but it is leaning towards more unisex. This one is completely unisex in my view and to my nose, so I could recommend it for guys and girls. It'd be pretty surprising, you know, if you rocked up to, as a girl, if you rocked up to some guy's house and you open his fragrance cabinet and you see one of these there, and you're like, who's this for? And they say, that's for me. That's respect. Respect or not, it doesn't smell that great to me, so I don't like it. I guess one of the reasons why I didn't like it was because of that civet note in there, and probably a mistake that was made was to get the parfum version, which has amped up that civet note right there, and that's why it hasn't really been used all that much. And I put some on my hand, and it's just not, yeah, not my cup of tea. But oh, it's got little floaties in it now. Far out, this thing's old. Okay. Yeah, it's just everything the eau de parfum is, but more dense. And it doesn't project as well, but it lasts for like ever and ever and ever. There's the Chanel No. 5 Parfum. I've not tried the eau de toilette recently, but that might be an option if you do dig this scent and you don't want to have the animalistic sort of notes coming through, and you want it lighter and sort of more acceptable for everyday wear. But then again, if you want to freak some people out, you could always wear this and they'll be like, did you just get robbed by an old lady? Okay, so now that I've ratted on a few Chanels and probably my channel's gonna get canceled, I'll go to the ones that I actually don't mind, and finally to the ones that I actually like, right? So the one that I actually do not mind is this one right here. This is Allure. Let's see if you can see that. Yeah, there you go, Allure. The original Allure, no flanker or nothing like that. The original Chanel Allure. Smells actually really terrible from the bottle, but it smells fantastic on the skin. This one, when you spray it on initially, it's not that great. And as with all Chanels, I reckon their openings are a bit of a mess most of the time, except for maybe some of the less exclusives line. But the openings on most of their fragrances are really not subtle, and you need to give them some time to develop. This is a clear example of that, because it really starts off really like a melange of everything at the same. Here's all the notes in the fragrance at the same time, right in the opening. How about that? But then after a while, some of them start to fade off, some of them start to come up, and just like a conductor conducting an orchestra, it all starts to come together and the groove starts to make sense to you, right? You start to get into that pattern of, yes, I understand this now. It's going through its movements, it's going through its motions. Like I said, once that initial opening dies down, this is a phenomenally good scent. If you can find the original formulation, maybe all up until like 2005, like I said. I don't know, I've read, but I have not tested myself the newer versions. I've got better things to do than to go back to stuff like this. But again, it was nice when it lasted. Chanel Allure. Allure Homme is also nice, but actually we're only talking about the women's side of Chanel for this video. Give me more caffeine. Government approved stimulant. And last but definitely not least in this list of Chanels is the one that I actually do like. Actually, no, I don't. I actually love this one. This is one of my favorite Chanel scents. I've only got 3 that I like, and I've mentioned them before. This is Coromandel EDT Concentrate, the original one, not the EDP. Gardenia, anything from 1990s and before, because I think Gardenia came out in like 1920 something. I can't remember, because I was too young to know at that time. But this one right here is the namesake. It's pretty much the flagship in my opinion, and this is Coco Eau de Parfum. Don't worry about the Eau de Toilette, don't worry about Coco Noir, Coco Eau de Parfum. This is the epitome, this is the definition of Chanel in a scent, in a bottle even, right? This is it. Everything you want and more. Man, it is luxurious. It is just rich, it is lush, it's lustrous, it's colorful, it is brash, it's flamboyant, and it stays with you, you know, and it develops with you, and it's just amazing, absolutely amazing. I can't sing its praises enough. And guess what, guys? It's not a women's fragrance. This is a men's fragrance. This is a men's fragrance. You could dress this up, you can never dress this down. Don't ever wear this with a jeans and t-shirt because you'll get arrested. I'm pretty sure there's some police out there, fragrance police will come and they will drag you away and they'll hose you down, or they'll dress you up in a nice suit or a nice vintage Burberry jacket like this. This is the one. This is the one. If you have any one choice that you could get that's still in the market today, and I know it's been reformulated, but really, you can't really kill this all too much. The vintages are probably, if they're kept well, they might be all right, but some of the ones that I've encountered from like the mid 80s or something like that, their juice has become like whiskey colored. It's not supposed to be that color. That's because it's become denser. Some of the liquid is evaporated and it's sort of had a stronger concentration of perfume oils in it. But what's happened at the same time is that the top notes would have died out. That's if they haven't gone sour, right? So all you're getting is the mids and the base, which is fantastic because the mids and the base on this are great, but what you really want is the full three-piece sort of ensemble for it to go from the top when it hits you, and then it's like mellows into its mid, and then it carries with you, and you get wafts of the base all throughout the rest of the day. And so this is my pick for any Chanel out there right now, all day, every day. Now that I'm done with all the Chanels, I'm also going to probably give my opinion on a few sort of big hitters of the female fragrance world and what I think about it. Because, you know, there's a lot of females who do have fragrance review channels that solely review men's fragrances, and that's fair because they only like men's fragrances, or maybe it's pretty popular to have a female voice on and their opinions on particular male fragrances. And I know for a fact my wife only ever wears men's fragrances exclusively because those are the scent profiles that she likes. Yeah, power to her, but you know, I don't discriminate. I just like what I like. So I'm going to give my opinion on a few very popular female fragrances here, and it might not be a popular opinion. Let's go. First one is this one right here. This is Black Opium by Yves Saint Laurent. When this came out and Opium was like reformulated and reformulated and then reformulated again, and then eventually I think it's been discontinued now, and then this came out, and I just thought, what the hell did they do, right? Did they like, I don't know, did they get like some I don't know, caramel on special or something like that, and so oh yeah, we could cook this down into a perfume oil and make this fragrance as sweet as humanly possible. I tell you what, it does not work in close quarters. This is not an office scent, people. This scent was only ever made if you're gonna go out to a soiree or a club or a dance. It's something. You're gonna move around, you're gonna drink, you're gonna sweat, you're gonna eat, you're gonna have fun, you're gonna move around in large spaces with other people, and you really want to have this cloud of cotton candy all around you that's hot and is eventually melting, and that's what this thing is. It's not my favorite. It's far from my favorite, but it has an application, and therefore it can be popular in my book. But again, I won't wear it and I don't recommend it. If going out is a thing again, maybe this, probably in colder weather. Oh my God, can you imagine in a close proximity in hot weather with this thing on? You'd just die. You'd just die. Black Opium, are you kidding me? Black Opium, that's my thoughts on Black Opium. Too bloody sweet. TBS. TBS. More coffee. Okay. All right, this next fragrance was pretty much one of the most popular fragrances of all time at some point before, you know, a lot more people got money to be able to buy fragrances. And the one I'm talking about is this one here. This is called Tresor by Lancome. Now, if you've never heard of Tresor, that's because you're an imbecile. But that's okay. There's things like Google and you can like search that kind of stuff. But Tresor was one of the most worn fragrances, one of the most classic, elegant sort of fragrances. I wouldn't say it's understated, not by any means. But it is a very light sort of, not very light, but it's sort of like a mid-level sort of floral. And it's resting on a pretty nice solid base as well. Now, this is probably a darker color than what it usually is because, again, this bottle's from the 1990s, maybe late 90s or something like that. And I can't believe there's this much of it left. I don't really get too much wear out of this one at this particular time. And I think I'm over it. But it's a very nice scent. It's quite overdone now because you can probably find a very similar scent profile in so many other fragrances. But at the time, this was the shit. But now it is not it. Tresor by Lancome. And last but not least, by all means, is my favorite out of this bunch, except for the Coco Eau de Parfum. And it is this one right here, known as simply Escada. And I think some people might call it the Escada Red Dot because it's got like a red dot right there. Or it could be Escada Signature. This is from 2005. And this is such a good fragrance. It is totally unisex and it is quite unique as well. And I think it's 2 notes away from being the most perfect springtime and summer daytime scent ever made. And that would be that it's too much in the lily of the valley and there's too much jasmine in here for my liking to actually make it the best of all time. But it is up there with one of my most favorite. It's got almost like a delectable sort of edible quality to it, even though it's not a gourmand. It's more like a floral edible, like if you want to eat flowers or something like that. This is what you'd be wearing right there. It's green, it's watery green leaves and flowers that are still green. And that's what you get here in this bottle right here. Escada Red Dot. It's been discontinued, so don't even bother. It's stupidly expensive now if you can find a bottle. And I believe that if it's not being kept well, fragrances that have notes like this that don't have sort of heavy resinous bases don't tend to do very well for a long period of time unless they're being kept very well. So beware if you're buying one on the grey market. That these have been discontinued and they're very pricey now and they're getting harder to find. That's Escada's Signature, and it's a shame because Escada used to make quite a few good fragrances back in the 90s and up to the mid 2000s until they sort of discontinued all of their fragrance line. Remember Casual Friday, Escada Pour Homme, Escada Silver Light, Escada's Magnetism, Escada Sentiment, a whole bunch of others as well that were really good fragrances, but all gone, all gone. So that's my take on a few very popular women's fragrances, or traditionally women's fragrances that I think are probably not women's fragrances at all. Some of them are actually quite manly fragrances or masculine fragrances, and what I thought of them. I hope that my criticism was constructive. I didn't really mean to be destructive. I was just trying to be a little bit funny there. And me explaining it has probably made it not funny. Yeah, odd. But yeah, if you can find any of these fragrances, or if you have any of these fragrances, then hey, good for you. And if you've got Coco Eau de Parfum, or if you've got Escada Signature, or Red Dot, as some people might like to call it, then you are a lucky, lucky person because you get to smell that and you get to wear that. Fantastic. And as always, thanks for watching.